just chilling. Huntington Beach in the motherfucking house.
Salute to him with
Long
the amazing view, man. God
Long
damn.
Beach, chilling.
Yeah. So, just having a good deal with my good brother Chris.
We're chilling.
My man right here. Happy solar return, first and foremost.
Yeah, something like that.
Now he getting all cool and shit, right? So we just having a bill about the historicity of Jesus.
Yeah.
And his point of contention is that there's more evidence that Jesus existed.
Actually, I started the conversation by asking you
go.
what you actually believe.
Backtracking.
What do you believe? Can we get it like a narrative instead of you putting?
But I'm gonna do that.
I'm gonna do
that. But let me just tell him how it started. So he said there's more historical data that Jesus existed as opposed to Caesar.
Absolutely.
And I said, what if we consider that maybe one of the representations historically of Jesus is actually Caesar?
Okay.
But he says, I know how you are, so I'm going to put you on the ropes. You ain't going to rope without me. So then he says something about Egyptians, so then tell him what you asked me, and then we could do the bill. So I just wanted to get them up to
let's
current.
just start from the beginning. Like, give me, what do you believe? If you have a few tenets, you want to talk like dogmas and tenets and historicity and religiosity and, a little etymology. Let's talk about what you believe. I like to read.
What are your top 3 dogmas?
Well, I say this: I like to refrain from believing as much as possible when it comes to my soul as a psyche or mind.
So you're just a skeptic. You're a secular skeptic like David Hume or something like that.
I don't mind being skeptical.
Yeah.
And in that respect, many would say that I'm an atheist because I don't believe in God, and I want to make that clear.
What do you mean by God when you say that? Is there a lot of definitions of God?
As far as the monotheistic religion's presentation of God, whether it be a
large,
large,
you think it's a black woman, right?
Well, black woman is my God, but I understand everybody else will accept it. I know she be your God on occasion. You love
no, only Brazilians.
Yeah, because they got black woman features.
They're not gods; they're goddesses.
Yeah,
okay.
God is
keep going.
God is a neuter noun,
we digress.
so it's legal.
We digress.
But God is a neuter noun, so it's legal. All right, it's legal. Chris is sharp too. Okay, so God is a neuter noun, it's legal. So this is what I want to say. In terms of belief, I refrain from believing in places where most people feel that's their only resort. And as far as being atheist, right, is a lot of people look at it like it's kind of a form of devilment, but in my perspective, when I look up the word, it just simply means you're not convinced that God exists. And the only way I could be...
So you're agnostic?
Well, watch this. Yeah, we could do all the
Greek word...
We could do all the A's.
We're etymologists, right? Gnostike? Greek?
Yeah.
Knowledge?
I'm not tripping. We could do the A. We could do the A.
Does it have knowledge of this or that?
We could do
atheos. Does it have knowledge?
We could do agnostic. We could do all that. But my point is this. Watch this part.
Wait. Watch out. There's COVID. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wait. Oh, Boogeyman was here. Now he's gone. Okay.
Yeah,
that
was a great distraction.
Yeah. Because you never know where you might be.
Yeah,
watch out for fucking COVID. Cover your mouth.
Yeah,
silence yourself.
This is what you call a filibuster. So watch this. So the only way man can have a conversation about this God, for the most part, right, is through the presentation of the monotheistic religions.
Okay.
And subsidiaries of the same, the majors and the subsidiaries.
Not considering like Zoroastrianism or something like that.
Exactly. So watch this. Listen to this carefully.
What are the majors?
Besides
Judaism,
Christianity, Islam, and then everything you can just kind of throw in there. Catholicism, you can throw everything in there. So what I'm saying is, I don't feel no religion has properly convinced me or even humanity that such a deity exists. And so that by default, because I'm not convinced by no religion, then I would have to fall under the umbrella of these prefixed A words. And that's legal. So it doesn't mean that I'm not saying a supreme being doesn't exist, right? I'm saying the one that they speak of doesn't register in existence because it's not convincing. There's too many contradictions and too many inconsistencies. So therefore, I don't believe in none of that.
Okay, then let's start from the beginning.
And most people feel like they have to believe.
Okay,
because they're gonna get in trouble.
Okay,
I ain't gonna get in trouble.
So does anything that begins to exist have a cause?
Anything that begins to exist?
Yeah.
If it's in the process of beginning, why not? If it's in the process of beginning,
I
why
mean,
not?
let's think in like logical proofs, right?
Yeah.
So premise one.
Well, you're talking about causation.
Any causation.
Or causal determinism.
Anything that begins to exist has a cause.
Yeah, are we talking randomism or causal determinism? So I think you're talking about more like causation. And in that regard, yes.
Those are two different
Checkmate.
philosophical concepts. No, let's go back to the premise. Does anything that begins to exist
I'm cooking you with pawns.
have a cause? See, he can do this to guys on the street, but when he talks to his
I'm
friend,
cooking
you
you
know,
with pawns.
yeah.
I ain't moved
that
my
begins
rook.
to exist has a cause. If we're looking down at the trees down there, the cars, these coasters from Huntington Beach, California,
Go ahead. Hey, look, COVID.
anything that begins to exist has a cause. Correct? The beer can. Everything that begins to exist has a cause.
I'm walking with you. I'm listening.
Something that has a cause has to be caused by another, right?
Yeah, it's the antecedent, precedent, and consequence, or it's evolution, evolution, revolution, or it's inception, conception, and birth.
Yeah. So you can't have an infinite series of causes. Can you?
Why not? It's a chain reaction.
So
Progress.
So
or
where
progression is a condition.
where did space and time come from? Let's start there. Space and time.
You know, people always like to do these games, but I would tell you where space comes from. Space
So
is made up of plasma.
wait. If you have to agree with
So
your
you
own,
have to have electricity.
you have
and
to agree with
magnetism.
your own premises. If everything has a cause, then space and time has a cause. But space and time must have had a beginning. It can't come from nowhere.
Did you
Therefore,
preface your statement about
there
everything
had to
having
be
a beginning?
something.
Or something
There
in the
had to
beginning
be
of
something that actually brought space and time into being. Therefore, there must be some kind of.
So by default, you render anything you don't understand before that point the antecedent to be God.
You can't have an infinite series of causes.
So
It's not
so
possible.
how about we do this? A loose interpretation of what you're doing is saying for everything I don't understand, I will just render it God. But guess what?
But
Watch
wait,
this,
wait,
watch this.
guess
Let me
what?
say something.
You're,
Let me say something.
you're
Watch
trying
this.
to say
Hold on,
because
hold on.
you don't
Watch
know,
this. You're saying
you don't know the world is infinite. How do you know the world's
no.
infinite?
You're saying because
You're
you
telling
don't
me
know.
everything has a
watch
cause.
this. Watch this. You're saying because you don't know it must be God. But watch this. You said where does space come from? So I said space is constituted by plasma. It's made up of plasma, and that plasma is precipitated by way of magnetism and electricity. Because wherever there's magnetism, there's electricity. So at this point, there goes your God shit out the window. You're gonna have to go behind that, and you're gonna keep going behind it. But then we're gonna go to quarks, biapertures, and zelis. We're gonna go into subatomic energy, right? And then you're gonna want to go behind that. And each time, then we're going to wind up into Planck's, the smallest unit of existence. And then that's going to take us into a simulation because we're going to see that this universe is pixelated. But they won't use the word pixelated when it comes to the cosmology. They're going to use the word, what? Planck's. So,
Socrates'
which means that
philosophies
there's
and
infinite,
hypotheses.
which means there's a finite, that means there's a finite level to this existence.
Of course.
So it's
I
a
mean, the vast
simulation.
majority of cosmologists agree on the singularity.
So now that we're saying this, right? Every time we go back, and
There must have been a cause to the singularity.
So this is where the word metaphysics comes from, because you
Where's it come from?
watch this.
Where's it come from?
Watch this. Physics. When there was a point in physics, watch this. There was a point in physics where they was stumped, and they said anything after this point will be metaphysics, still physics nonetheless. But there was a point where physics couldn't move forward until Bohm came through. And Einstein, who stole someone else's information, but that's another conversation.
Metaphysica. In Greek, physica,
Go ahead.
the physical, meta, Latin, beyond the physical.
Yes,
What's beyond
but
the physical.
metaphysics.
But Aristotle wrote a treatise called the Physica, and most of the philosophical books that came after him were referred to as metaphysica because they came after his text, the Physica.
I don't got a problem with that. I
Yeah.
don't got a problem with that at all. You know, you have the sophists, right, or the
The
sophisticated
sophists,
people,
yes.
and you have the aristocrats, right?
Yes.
And then when we look at these different,
They used to hung out on the Areopagus next to the Pantheon.
yes.
Parthenon. Parthenon? Where are they?
Pantheon.
Greece.
So
Greece,
before we digress
Rome,
again,
somewhere like that.
before we digress again, the point that I was making is what we do in the religious world is the second we can't understand what came behind the last thing we recognize. Like, watch this. On the periodic table of elements, right?
If anyone
Watch
can
this.
interpret what this hat says, I will drink a beer on you.
No problem. Watch this. We're not gonna go ADHD on it. We're gonna stay focused. If we look at the periodic table of elements, right? Guess what happens? They got to redo that shit, but they never do it. If we look at the months in the year, they got to redo it because when Julius Caesar wanted to add himself in, Julius and Augustus, they added 2 more months, and that's why all the months are always 2 months off. Meaning October is the 8th month, right? Or is it? Or is it the 10th month? Octo means 8 as in octopus, but it's the 10th month.
Are we going by the Gregorian or Julian
You see what I'm saying?
calendar?
Watch this. Deci, as in decimal, the first number after the decimal is the 10th place, right? So Deci means 10.
Christmas is on January 8th.
But watch this.
7th, 8th.
We're not talking about Christmas right now. That's another conversation.
Okay.
We can do that. So December is Deci, which
Okay.
should mean 10, but it's the 12th month. And the reason why these things are happening with October, November means 9, but it's the 11th month. The reason why those months are 2 numbers behind is because Julius and Augustus Caesar inserted or injected themselves into the calendar and no one fixed it, so we still learn this in school. So case in point, when we look at the periodic table of elements, the same thing happens. We thought hydrogen was the lightest thing on a scale of matter, right? Because of that 1 electron, that goes off, then boom, we into subatomic energy. So we thought that was the lightest thing that we could weigh. And then we found out about subatomic energy. We found out about quarks,
This is
biaps,
why we
and
love
zetas.
Brother Polight.
So when this happened, right, you know what they were supposed to do? They're supposed to recalibrate this whole periodic table of elements, start it all over again, say we made an error because we thought things started from here. So what we would have thought prior to that was anything before hydrogen was God. But now we know, oh, there's something behind that. So we're going to have to keep backpedaling. And that's what I'm saying. Whenever,
So wait, everything
whenever
has
we don't
a cause, therefore the singularity has a cause.
I ain't mad at none of that.
Therefore, space and time came into being from something that must have not, by interpretation, have been not physical.
So
They've been powerful enough to bring it into existence.
You see, I would be down.
What are we having for happy hour, by the way?
Look at this though. I'd be down for a conversation about that, and then you come in with Christmas talk. You see, so we could talk about
we can go
plasma.
anywhere.
Watch this though. We could talk about plasma
I
and
ain't
universe
scared.
and creation. right?
North, Memphis like me.
Watch this. Once you talk about plasma and the universe and all that, it sounds all good. It's fine and dandy. And then Christmas comes in, and then I'm saying that's cap. The conversation starts off deep, and I'm vibing with you. No, something has to come there. It's causation. We do all of that, and then we wind up in Christmas fairy tales now. No offense, it's a fairy tale. You know
What's
that.
a fairy tale? Santa Claus?
Christmas. You said what day
Santa
is-
Claus is not a fairy tale.
Yeah, he's Santa Claus, but don't worry
Well,
about
you
it.
have two versions. You
let's
have
do-
the sheeple that have been mediaized and brainwashed, thinking there's some, like,
We are
fairy
not
guy
going to
that
sit here and debate if Santa Claus is real right now.
Saint Nicholas is not real.
Yeah, St. Nicholas is a real person,
Yeah.
but not based on the narrative of Christmas.
Yeah, no, two
Okay,
different people.
Great.
Two
But let's get
different
to
stories.
Christmas in terms of Jesus' birthday.
Okay.
And the stipulation is supposed to be December
Okay, do
25th.
it. You want to pick the topic? Let's go.
Nah, you brought up Christmas, so now I'm
No,
with
it's
it.
it's not December 25th. I will disagree.
No problem.
Yeah.
But we do know where the December 25th comes from, do we? We're celebrating the
Yeah,
winter
so
solstice.
we also know that the Roman Catholic Church separated from the Orthodox Church around 1054, the Great Schism, and it was infiltrated by Freemasons,
let's-
and they totally distorted a lot of the main principles of Christianity.
Well, they did.
If
They
we want to
stole
talk about
from
Christianity, I've been trying to tell him this for a long time.
They stole from Egyptian mysteries. Let me sidebar
Yeah,
real
sure,
quick.
sure. If you want to talk about
Real quick,
Protestantism
let me sidebar
or
one thing.
Roman Catholicism, it's fine. But if you're talking about Eastern Orthodox Christianity, different story.
But watch this.
Because
you know
we
where the
still
Roman
celebrate on January 8th,
you know,
7th, 8th.
you know where the Roman Catholic Church come from, right? Because they wanted to conjoin two of the most powerful kingdoms. So you had the Romans doing their thing, and you have the Egyptians doing their thing. So they got Cleopatra, whose head deity, or Necha at that time more correctly said, would be Bastet, which is the cat deity. So when they combined the two entities, it became the Roman Catholicistic movement. And that's where you get the Roman Catholicistic, because you can see the Egyptian mysteries stemming from the time of Cleopatra when she got down with Mark Antony. I'm telling you. So that's how you get Roman
Mark
Catholicistic.
Well, that's interesting. They also went to modern
Roman
day
Catholic,
Istanbul,
sir.
which from
Say it again.
They also went to modern day Istanbul from Arabic. That means what? Islam in abundance. Istanbul.
Istanbul.
Yeah, Islam in abundance. And they sacked the Hagia Sophia, which was the main Christian cathedral there. The Orthodox
Well,
were
the
there,
original
and
Muslims
they
are
killed,
Christians.
They killed all the Orthodox. Whoa, that's a big proposition.
The original Muslims are Christians. Muslims are Christians. Muslims are Christians that dress dress better.
No, they're not.
Okay, what does the word Quran mean? Because we have to look at the lingua franca of that area where they say Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam come from.
Let's look at the lingua franca.
So you have the dialect continuum, right? And this is where all the different languages are. And then in that dialect continuum, you have what's called asymmetrical intelligibility and mutual intelligibility. So asymmetrical means it's hard to make out languages that stem from
Brooklyn accent. Asymmetrical. We're from Cali, bro. We're kind of from Cali.
It's hard to make out languages that stem from the same mother language, so that's asymmetrical, right? And then you have mutual intelligibility.
Symmetrical?
Yes, I'm focusing on the A. Ass, right?
Okay.
So, and then you have...
You win on that one.
And then you have, because the ass is divided.
Asymmetrical.
Yeah, and then you have mutual intelligibility, which is where the dialects sound so similar that a person can make out another one's language without knowing them. And all of that is within the confines of what you call the dialect continuum. And in the dialect continuum, there's always a language that is most popularly used for trade, for religion, spirituality, that most people speak, even if everybody has different dialects within that continuum. And so that's called the lingua franca. So the lingua franca of that area was what? Syriac. And so the original
Latin.
New Testament was written in Syriac, called the Peshitta. It's called the Peshitta. Look it up. So not Greek. It wasn't written in Greek first. It was written in Syriac, not Greek. And when you read the Peshitta, the Christians called on Allah before Muslims were even born over 100 times.
Orthodox Christians call God Allah because it means God.
And original
Syrian or Lebanese
and original Coptic Christians,
Jewish
Christians, original Coptic Christians acknowledge Jesus as Muhammad, because Muhammad is one who is worthy of praise or gratitude, which is an epithet or a gerundival participle, which is an adjective that acts as a verb simultaneously if you see someone that is the epitome of that adjective. So Jesus,
okay. We're gonna have to reference that text.
Yeah, you can reference this. It's called the Peshitta, right?
Okay.
But then,
when we talk about Christianity, let's talk about Eastern Orthodoxy.
Watch this. When we study history, watch this though. No, we're gonna do this. When we study history, right?
No, we're doing it.
Okay, when we study history, one of the things that we can do as scholars is study coinage. So we look at their coins of early Christians, and we'll see they had crosses on one side of the coin, and they had the word Muhammad on the other. And now we know anything about Muslims, they would say Astaghfirullah, because it says when Muhammad comes back on the border, he's going to break all the crosses. So we know for sure they wasn't Muslims.
So there were a ton of heretical texts. That's why they had the Council of Nicaea in 325 to dismiss all this
No, you got to watch
nonsense.
This. What was the lingua franca of that area where early Christians derived?
Greek.
Where Muslims were later born? No, it is Syriac. And in Syriac, you have harmonious morphological codes, meaning they took the phonemes or they took the nouns or diacritical marks, the marks that let you know in Arabic how to pronounce words. They draft picked words from one language and brought it into another. This is called Karshuni because the original Arabic language wasn't even completely formulated when the Quran was written. The Quran wasn't even, the language wasn't even fully developed before the Quran was fully presented. So guess what happened? It's called Karshuni when you borrowed other people's characters to make up your words. So Arabic was still developing. And so what happens is they was using someone else's language and changing the phonemes, manipulating the diacritical marks, and make you pronounce things a little different. Case in point, the lingua franca, the most popular language of that area for early Christians before Muslims were born, is Syriac. And the word Quran is a Syriac Christian word. What's Quran in Syriac? Carry on. And what does that mean? Lectionary. What is a lectionary? Bible lessons. So, Quran means Bible lessons. Think about it, people. Early Christians were Muslims.
Google that.
Please Google it. In Syriac.
Okay.
And look up the word Peshitta.
Let's Google it.
Look up the New Testament before it's written in Greek. It was written in Syriac. And early Christians called on Allah before Muslims were born. And then we can see how they run concurrent because early Muslims are Christians that were in rebellion to other Christians. Yeah. Look up Syriac. This right, lectionary. Quran, lectionary. So early Christians had a Quran, right? They did their Salatul Fajr and everything. They had their morning prayer just like Muslims. But Muslims hijacked a great portion of Christianity in their rebellion and only honed in on certain principles of early Christians. I'm telling you. Muslims hijack Christianity.
Less is more.
Muslims hijack Christianity. That's why I'm using
more.
these terminology so you can look it up. Syriac, carry on, Bible lectionary.
You know, one of the most important things
Quran.
you can do is educate yourself, not listen to someone else.
Nah, but you
can Google all this shit
but
for
we
yourself.
have a responsibility to give reference points so that way
We
they
do.
can move on and
But
catch what they